Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Hello, people, and welcome to your favorite show of the week, of course, the Rational League. We got the whole gang is here, of course, but we're missing Rory, who's joining in a second, of course. We're here with Endz, of course, repping Liverpool, as you see Van Dijk, the captain behind him. We got here Patrick, of course, repping City. We got Dan. Okay, one of my favorite Chelsea supporters, of course. Rational with a new haircut. Big up Dan, of course, fresh, just like me, of course. And Rory is going to be here with us. Hit that like button, people, if you're here. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. We're on the way to 37K now. So hit that like button, subscribe, people. Let's get to maybe this show to like 300 likes live, and then we'll actually be like doing wonder things, of course, here on the channel. So hit that like button. Big up everyone that joined us from the Football Terrace. Of course, that was a great show.
Do you see this jersey over here?
What about it?
It's the new Man City jersey, and when it came out, I had so much ideas that this season is going to be people's funeral by wearing this black jersey. But I now understand it's going to be our own funeral this season because, my God, we look trash. So I'm not gonna wear it for the whole season because people make memes out of me. Because I already said it on many panels that it's gonna be your funeral with this black jersey. But
why is it gonna be your funeral? It's just, it doesn't make any sense. Why?
Because we're still getting rinsed in defense and midfield. So I don't think it will be anybody's funeral but ours during these games. You know.
Oh, okay. So hold on. Where do you see your team next season?
Me? I see us fighting for top 4.
Fighting for top 4.
Yes, swinging for top 4. That's where I see us swinging for top 4.
Crazy.
It is crazy, really? But you have to accept these things. You have to.
What did you see to make you believe this?
I'm just looking at things and saying we just seem to suck at transition. And I studied our team and I just found out, I was like, oh my God. Do you know that Kyle Walker used to save us all the time from counters? Somebody made a whole video of Kyle Walker saving our defense with that high line from counters and transition. So basically, he was the insurance. Now the insurance policy is gone. It's either you drop that line or find centre-backs who are capable of doing that high line, which I think these particular centre-backs, after their surgeries and injuries, have lost pace. I just feel like we will get rinsed. We're going to have to outscore people. How many people are we going to actually outscore? I don't know. That's just me.
Can
anyway,
I ask you guys for real? Can I ask you for real? How good is the City offensive line?
Very.
Very good.
Mhm.
Do you think their wingers are good enough?
Well, you got Foden if he's back on form, Doku,
Foden is the 10.
Vino. Yeah, you got some players there, man. Well, you can't. I don't see what he's saying. I don't get it, man. I don't know. Maybe
Do you remember what I said, Mo? I told you that fine rival fans, they still fear this City team. They still fear this City team.
To actually have a good offense, you need to compare it to your competition. It's not only about yourself.
Yeah, let's go ahead.
If Arsenal are reportedly getting Gyokeres, okay, and they are gonna try for Rodrigo because today there are reports that Trossard might be sold. And Rodrigo as well. Rodrigo is the one that they want. The only thing that will keep City there is that Chelsea spent 50 million on Pedro, 50 million on Gittens. This 100 million, imagine if this 100 million would have been spent on someone like a Gyokeres or Osimhen, and you get a winger that is cheaper. And also they spent 30. So 130 million spent on Delap, Gittens, and Pedro. They're all good players. I'm not saying otherwise. But I believe that Chelsea could have done much better with this money. There are opportunities in the market that Chelsea could have used that money for. There is a lot of potential in these three. I like Delap a lot, by the way. I didn't watch a lot of Gittens. I like João Pedro. But in the same time, there is room for improvement with that much money. It's the same thing when Arsenal spent 65 million in Kai Havertz. There was a lot of other options that you could have spent that 65 million on at that time, but you chose to spend it on Kai Havertz. Everyone at Chelsea, this is what I bring Dan in. Everyone at Chelsea board is looking at the Chelsea as we need to buy potential. We need to buy players that will take the club in the next 2-3 years to the top. But the money they are spending is not equivalent to upcoming talent. It's equivalent to talent that might be already made today. Like if Gyokeres is being 60 million plus 8 add-ons, Gittens cannot be 50 million. Like you cannot. It's uncomparable. You know what I mean? Gyokeres is ready made today. If City bought Marmoush for 70 million, João Pedro, which is a good player, cannot be 60 million or 55 million. There are better players out there with that money. This is where I'm a little bit critical of how Chelsea actually run the club. Because the difference, if Gittens doesn't bang, they are in for a situation of Jadon Sancho at Man United. But however, Jadon Sancho was a superstar in the Bundesliga. Gittens is not a superstar in the Bundesliga. There is a massive difference. I would say that Man United made the sensible signing in Jadon Sancho. 70 million for Jadon Sancho seemed to be fair because he was a superstar. He was similar to Erling Haaland, for example, at Dortmund. He was highly rated in the Bundesliga. Everyone wanted Jadon Sancho. Even Man City wanted Jadon Sancho. Gittens is a good player, upcoming talent, but he isn't like Jadon Sancho, for example, in the Bundesliga. This is why when I'm saying that money that Chelsea spent, and I'm going to start with Chelsea on this show because I haven't spoken a lot about it. I like what Chelsea are doing, but I like it 3 years from now. If Gittens was 30 million, like Delap, João Pedro, sensible signing, 50 million or 60 million is sensible for the price. But there is way more improvement that Chelsea could have done with the 30 million plus 50 million. That's 80 million that could have spent somewhere else. That will instantly improve the squad today. Like we could have sat here and said, Chelsea have a midfield that is very competitive with the rest of the league. And Chelsea have an offensive line that is very competitive. Imagine if Chelsea signed Gyokeres instead of Delap and Gittens. And they signed a winger for 20-30 million. I think we'd be sitting here and saying Chelsea can compete. Genuinely can compete.
Can I ask a question more? Just a question before I forget. How much were they refusing to pay for that AC Milan keeper? 10 million, isn't it? Was it 10 million?
18 million pounds. 18
million
pounds.
I thought it was worth it. I think to help, because they cannot go with Sanchez. That's what I just wanted to say, that they were refusing to pay. But anyway.
I didn't watch a lot of Gittens. And I would actually claim on behalf of the rest of the panel, none of us sat to watch Borussia Dortmund play Hoffenheim in the weekend. No. The majority of you go to games. We watch compilations. We watch him in the Champions League. But he is good. But again, good is not enough for Chelsea. Good is not enough. Chelsea could have signed a very good player. Mbeumo is 65 million. Put 50 million pounds, and then you got Mbeumo. Better than Gittens. Right? Am I wrong to say this? But by the way, there's a lot of my Chelsea viewers that actually didn't like what I had to say last week with that take that the money that Chelsea spent could have taken them to be equivalent to the top three, or at least closer. But now, when Arsenal signed Zubimendi and Gyokeres, I think they're pulling apart.
But that's factually true, isn't it, Mo? Like that's factually true that those players have been signed, have had better output than the players that have been bought in for the same price. Like, that's not making anything up. You're seeing that for the same price, you can buy a player with far better output, far more proof. It's literally facts with the numbers. It's not an agenda there. You're spot on with how much has been spent on players with better output.
If Chelsea get 50 million for Madueke from Arsenal and sign Gittens, as David is saying, yes, I would say that. But I think these two deals are not related at all. They aren't related. That 50 million that Chelsea spent, 10 million, and you could have gotten Cunha, for example, who chose Man United.
The biggest issue I have around Chelsea's current recruitment is it almost looks as if they're moving into phase 2 now with a different bunch of younger players again, where they've gone for Madueke and the likes of a couple of other players previously. Mudryk is obviously part of that, and he's not part of the squad anymore. But, you know, they've spent a lot of money on youngsters a couple of seasons ago. They've not really developed into what they expected them to be by now. And it looks like they're going again. And not only are they going again, they're probably spending more money on similar level talent than they were the first time round. You know, they've signed Delap for about 30 million. They did it with Jackson previously. That's probably where they're thinking they've got a replacement there. Madueke, they spent, 30 million on? They're going to try and move him on for minimal profit to a rival and then sign Gittens, who probably has similar output to Madueke. We don't know what it'll be like in the Prem. And then I think we've seen it with, you know, players like Pedro coming in. They've tried it with Nkunku already. They've tried it with João Felix. They're going again. Is he better than those two players? I'm not sure. I don't know whether he'll probably be better than what those two have been in the Premier League. But in terms of what we were signing when we signed Nkunku for 60 million, he looked far better than João Pedro numbers-wise. So I'm just a little bit confused. I don't really see what the process is, because what happens if these players don't work out again in another 2-3 seasons? Where are Chelsea then? They're at a £2 billion hole. And there's not many more women's teams to sell or academy teams to sell, because look, UEFA don't accept it, and we're sat there with 80 million euros worth of fines. So eventually they're going to have to do something about it.
The thing I don't get is that unless at the end of all of this, you've built a squad that is like almost untouchable in the Premier League in terms of how far ahead it is.
For a decade?
Yeah.
As well? For like 2 billion?
Yeah, at least for like what City were able to do.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why at no point are you taking the step to like truly compete at the top here and now. And for me, like moving on Madueke and bringing in Gittens, it's like, well, Madueke now is a proven Premier League level player. And now you're taking almost a step back with, okay, maybe Gittens' ceiling eventually is slightly higher than Madueke's, but he's not just going to hit the ground running in the Premier League. And it's the same with, you know, Esteval looks like a great talent, but it's like every year you overhaul the squad so much, you're never just going to have a settled team that's got Premier League experience under their belt. And that's where I'm like, I just don't understand what the ultimate end goal is.
And you know what's funny about all this? It's right you say that, Roy, because they keep resetting, isn't it? This is what I was telling one of my Chelsea friends. Like, you keep resetting. Do you remember, Dan, last time when we were on this show, I kept on pushing, saying, why don't you guys just fix the few holes with somebody who's ready with them, the same kids? You can continue investing with the youngers. Like, this is why, even on the keeper thing, I know Chelsea fans like, we don't want to look like some Chelsea fans like, we don't want to look like Marks. I was like, 80 million is okay for a keeper like him. You fix the keeper. Sanchez is horrible.
Your sound is a little bit off. Is it only me?
Wait, can you hear me now? Is it better?
It's much better now.
It's because I'm
he had a mic and then was like, he's leaving us.
Off screen, like,
no. Yeah, is that better than I put it? You say that.
What is this?
You had the mic the whole time, bro. We thought he was doing
No, I did. It's just it's up here. The setup is different here. So, but anyway, all I'm saying is the same. You keep saying, why don't you just for once say, okay, we want Delap, we get him for 30, but why can we not just get a mature striker if you want another midfielder, get a mature midfielder. As I always say, if they get a defender who's a leader in the back and a keeper, I'm scared of Chelsea. Like, look at them now with the same young team than in the semi-finals. And City are not. We're out. I just feel like they just need to get somebody ready. Stop this. Oh, let's bring these kids. Okay, Jackson sucks. Okay, we're gonna bring Delap. Delap, I highly rate him, by the way. Even Gittens, but I don't know if they're gonna just compete for you guys right away. Because you must remember this. Everybody keeps saying, "Oh, Chelsea's gonna wait 3 years for this team to gel," but Liverpool, City, Arsenal, and the other guys will keep bringing in extras. So let's say, for instance, somebody becomes at an older age, we'll bring a younger player who just comes in a team that's already gelled. You get it? So you're also playing catch up. So I don't know,
But
man. I hope it works
Chelsea
out for you
keep
guys.
ripping up, like Chelsea keep ripping it up as well, because we're 3 years in now of this sort of new ownership and their project. You know, that they started off with Koulibaly, Kukurea came in, Sterling.
Yeah.
They ripped that one up. They then went for your younger players again. They brought in the likes of Madueke and players like that. Jackson, they're ripping that one up, and then they're going again. So they've already decided that twice. You know, a number of players, probably getting close to like 500 million as well. I don't know the exact figures, but a lot of money hasn't worked. So they're going again. And I think factually, you can just see that football isn't linear. And I think they expected it to be. And now they're finding themselves in a hole. So I don't think anyone knows the reason Chelsea won't go and sign ready-made players. I don't think it's clear and obvious. I think that's why there's so much uncertainty and volatility around people's viewpoints on Chelsea. But what I will say is these players, no matter what the fee, they are exciting. They're entertaining players. And if they get it right, it could go really well for Chelsea. But who knows? Because we are all excited about Madueke joining and Mudryk joining and Jackson joining, and it hasn't quite worked out with those players.
The starting three for Chelsea last season were Madueke, Jackson, Sancho, correct? The start of the season.
Neto?
Right? This is he didn't start. You remember the 4-1?
Oh, yeah, maybe,
remember?
Yeah,
he didn't start.
First
Neto
game,
was
you're right.
yeah. You remember even the Wolves game? It was Madueke, Sancho, Jackson until Neto broke into the team because Sancho dropped. And now we're looking at maybe completely new front three with Delap, João Pedro, and Gittens probably, or Neto as well. I get what people are skeptical about Chelsea is that if two of these don't work, you basically have a new front three that three of them don't work, basically. And it's not like, with all due respect to Chelsea, it's not that you're buying Rodrigo, who plays for Real Madrid, who won Champions League, so it's not your fault if it doesn't work. If Gittens doesn't work, it's basically your recruitment team's fault.
But then they don't view it as an issue, because if they, Madueke's not worked, they're not actually going to lose any money on it. They'll probably make profit on the books as well. So I think that's where they then don't view it as much of an issue as we do as football fans that think our team should be going first and foremost for success and winning games. They view it as a business first. And I don't think they view it as a failure if they make profit off the player that they bought in, even if it is 5 million, 10 million on the books.
Yeah, it's quite weird, isn't it? How the owners of your football club look at football compared to the fans. I think you're right in terms of they will just look at it as a great business. They will make profit off of these players that we're getting. Similar to like Real Madrid, they sign all these young top talent that's going to be future stars. Don't really play them, but they make a profit after that if they sell them to other clubs. I think Chelsea's probably going down that route, but I think you're right. They keep restarting the process, and this is the third one now. They have got some really talented players. But it's always like they're planning for a future, but the future is still not come yet. It feels like they just keep planning for this, but you're waiting to see when are we actually going to go. But look, the team looks exciting. The team is young. It looks vibrant. It's got some top players there. But I don't know what style, what system. I feel like they just keep chucking in players. They keep giving in players and go sort it out. It's like, but I can't play everyone. Where am I going to put all of these footballers? So it'll be interesting. Honestly, it'll be so interesting. I think.
Think about it. I'm not ruling out Chelsea actually being good next season because João Pedro is good. Delap is good. We know that midfield is very good. Chelsea might sign a defense. And actually, we need to actually notice that Chelsea have improved defensively.
Yeah, they have.
Massively, by the way. Yeah. In the last month of the Premier League, he ended the season third best defense in the league. In the Club World Cup, we see a defense that is way more solid than before. So I believe that Chelsea can do something, but it's a risk of signing these players. But Maresca He's improving as a coach. He's getting better. I'm not going to rule them out, not from winning the league, but actually for competing. He can actually be there and thereabout around the gate, top 4 comfortably. And I'm not ruling out that this team can be a little bit of a problem for the top 3 teams in the league. That team can be a problem for the top 3 teams. Everyone that is going to play, they might have a tough time winning against them, to be honest. So I just criticize the model, how it works, because I think you could have done better. But at the same time, I'm not ruling them out. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that, like other fans, Chelsea are rubbish. They're not going to do anything. They're going to be in a top 4 race, and they're going to be like, fighting for top 4. Chelsea are going to be better than the Aston Villas and the Newcastle next season. They're going to be closer to the top than actually to top 4. That is my opinion about Chelsea.
Let me
Should
ask you
Arsenal
something
be
more.
scared? Go ahead.
No, let me ask you something though. Maybe even Dan will answer this. You know how I can go to Arsenal and point out who their backbone is. You know, in a team there has to be a backbone. I can go to Liverpool. It's Chelsea that every time somebody asks me what's the backbone at Chelsea, I can't right now.
No, it's
Like,
very obvious. It's
I
very
think it's
obvious.
obvious
It's
now.
the
I
3
think it's
midfield. It's the 3
starting to show.
midfielders.
No, I don't think
very
it's
obvious.
just the 3 midfielders. I think Reece James is an integral part of the team. And I
Mhm.
also think
Yeah.
Levi Colwell is becoming that. And I think Kukurea is absolutely nailed on at left back as well every single game. We almost don't have a replacement for him. So I think those 3 are an absolute pretty much guaranteed to be playing. Sanchez has actually become part of the guaranteed team, whether you like it or not. Maresca obviously believes he's part of that, one of the older members of the team as well. You've then got Enzo Fernandez and Caicedo, who I think are nailed on. Lavia, I think he's good enough to be, but he can't stay fit. And then I think that's Cole Palmer is the only other name that I think is a certainty there week in, week out. So I think you can see some players that are guaranteed to be playing every week and are forming part of this spine, and some are really sort of growing into it. And people can say Colwell's poor, and I've criticised him at times, but we've seen a huge improvement in sort of the last couple of months of the season and this Club World Cup. There's a reason Chelsea improved defensively, and I think he's been a huge part of it. And you have to give him a lot of credit.
But this is where I think, and this is where I think Chelsea won't take that next step to really compete for the league, personally, is that when you look at that squad, you look at the allocation of funds this summer and how much has gone into the attack, where really, I think you could still argue Madueke is good enough. Jackson probably not. Palmer definitely. You've got Esteval coming in. You have Pedro Neto's probably good enough in another season. I'm not convinced that Gittens, for example, is an upgrade on Neto. But then you look at the squad and you go, like you just said, you don't really have a backup for Cucurella. So a Cucurella injury could derail the season. Same with Levi Colwell. Same with, in my opinion, now Reece James, because I think Gusto's well off it. Maybe Achampong. I think, is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, I think in this
Coming
system,
through.
Gusto's definitely regressed, probably. I'd agree with that.
And then Robert Sanchez, where I feel like if you sold Sanchez and the money you're making off Petrovic, you could have upgraded to a very good keeper there that is definitely better. So there's just a few
obviously
areas.
didn't want to spend the money, Rory, on those. And that's the question Patrick's asking, isn't he? Is that why won't Chelsea do that? And I don't think that's.
I know. I have an answer. Because goalkeepers don't normally make money for the club.
But I think they have to realise that when the money was that low for a 30-year-old, I think they were probably accepting that they weren't going to make money on him anyway. It was just what they felt was fair value. And, they feel fair value for a 19-year-old, 20-year-old is, 50, 60 million if they've scored 8 goals in the Bundesliga. But if they've been a top keeper for a number of years in a top league in Europe, and they're at the peak of their ability, they won't pay an extra 3-4 million to get the deal done. It doesn't make any sense when they probably didn't expect to make profit on Mike Maignan anyway. So it doesn't make sense. Cucurella one's another one. I think they probably felt like they had cover, and now they've moved players on, and it's a risk that we're taking every game with Cucurella if we don't have a replacement for him.
Isn't the Vega guy? Is he going to be sold to Juventus? Right, he's done.
Or Bayern? Yeah, that's what I've seen this summer.
Yeah.
So you don't actually have a backup left back, or
well, we have the 2 players that you would suggest that in the squad are not in the squad, but at the club are Chilwell and Caleb Wiley.
Well, Chilwell is still there.
Yeah, he only went on loan to Palace. So
I thought he was gone. I thought you guys got rid of him.
They're not going to be part of the squad moving forward this season, but they're the only 2 players that I think you'd suggest were natural players to back up at left back. Other than that, I don't really see one. So I think he'd be happy to consider Gusto. I think that's what Maresca does. He just considers Gusto as the cover on the left-hand side and the right-hand side.
But that's what I'm saying. When I said that, someone said, like, it took Arsenal however many phases to get Victor Gyokeres. Like, that's the whole point. Like, how many years did we not address a hole in the squad, and it cost us? Like that, you're kind of making the point for me. Is that we kept addressing like areas that we were allocating funds to areas that were already pretty strong, rather than some areas where there was potential weakness.
Yeah, we needed. Yeah,
that's kind of the point.
Yeah, that is the thing. We'll see what happens with Chelsea. Moving on from Chelsea, guys, hit that like button. It's about 800 people in the house, so let's get to 300 likes, guys. The like button helps the channel massively. Underneath your live comments, of course, so hit that like button. And also, all these guys' channels are in the description. Rory talks football, Dan football with Endz, and True City Fan, of course, in the description. For the actual title race.
Wow.
Okay, first of all, Rory, are you happy that you got Gyokeres over Cisco or no? I just wanted to ask.
Yeah, I said all along I was happy either way as long as we got one of them in. So, yeah, I'm happy.
Oh, okay.
We've got a lot of Arsenal fans.
There's a lot of Arsenal fans that are not happy with this. They're like, we need
Cisco.
I know.
They're crazy. What do you mean?
A lot of people.
That's ridiculous.
A lot of people.
Yeah. But this
lots,
is always
I mean
thing,
lots
right?
of people, bro.
Okay, can I just so I get an understanding then? If not him, who did they actually want?
Cisco.
Really? Okay, at the two. I don't mind Cisco, but Gyokeres is the more...
Yeah, but this was going to be the thing, right?
Article ready to go.
Yeah, but this was always going to be... If it had gone the other way and we got Cisco instead of Gyokeres, there'd have been a load of people that were going crazy that we were getting a guy that scored 13 goals in the Bundesliga rather than Gyokeres. So it's like, there was going to be a meltdown either way. I just think a lot of the negative comments about Victor Gyokeres are just like... just unfounded almost, in terms of like, oh, look at the league he plays in, but then it's like he scored at a better rate than Isak, as an example, in both the Champions League and for Sweden. It's, you know, I don't know. I feel
and some Arsenal fans are saying very strange things. Like some Arsenal fans, why would you get the 27, not the 22? Who cares about their age? It's a prime age, 27. Like,
27 is perfect for that Arsenal squad right now.
Yeah, like, why do Arsenal fans think that they need to actually look out for the club in the next 5-6 years? Like, why? Why do you care in the next 6-7 years?
You need trophies.
Because if Gyokeres comes in and he's ready now and Arsenal win a trophy, I promise you, Cisco's still in the market. And imagine if Arsenal win the league. Cisco will be willing to go to Arsenal and battle for the place, because when you win the league, you can actually get a second striker that is willing to battle for the league at 21 or 22 years old. You know, like, that is a problem. Some Arsenal fans think this way. But listen,
you could have Gyokeres and Cisco in the same team, like potentially with their ages. Like, that could work. Like, there will be teams around that have a 27, 28-year-old brewing a 22-year-old striker and giving them not equal minutes, but, you know, a decent amount of minutes in Europe and things like that.
Is it because of his age then why people are having an issue with it, because they probably don't see the longevity of him?
That's
in the squad.
That's a little bit of the issue. And people are obviously like, oh, he's 27. I mean, he's just turned 27, but he's 27 playing in the Portuguese league. Like, why has that happened? It's almost like not everyone's career follows the exact same path. But then the other thing's like, oh, his first touch isn't great, and he takes too many. Possibly, but then also, or he takes too many steps. It's like, I don't care if the first touch is bad and the second touch is bad, if the third touch is him slapping it into the back of the net. It's like, you could bring someone in with the first touch of Neymar, second touch of Maradona, but they can't shoot. And that's the problem we've had for the longest time. Like, we've been crying out for someone who does the hardest thing in football, which is putting the ball in the back of the net. And he does that at a better rate.
Haaland's first touch is not great. Haaland can't even drive with the ball at his feet. And then he does the best thing in football. Put the ball in the back of the net.
No, more. He's not that bad. You're making
it's not that bad.
What do you mean he's not that bad? What do you mean he's not that bad?
He's not that bad.
I've seen Edison ping the ball into him and he's trapped it, killed it, and then play people in. You're making it sound better than what it is.
Yeah, that happened. Haaland is not a link-up play striker. Haaland touch is not the best in football.
But he has them basically. He has basic ones.
And Gyokeres has the base. Like, Gyokeres, with all due respect, Gyokeres is not Filippo Inzaghi. If anyone watched Filippo Inzaghi, like,
yeah, but you know more. This is what happens. Even at City, when Haaland was coming at City, trust me, I had to fight with other YouTubers, City YouTubers, who were saying, oh, he's got a bad attitude, or he just stands there, he's just tall, he's not good in the air. Who cares, man? As Roy said, you just need somebody who can finish. And that's what City did to win the treble. We went to get somebody who's just a finisher. We were done with these Jesus. Oh, Jesus looks good. Remember, people were like, oh, Jesus can dribble. Okay. Oh, okay, it looks good. But guess what? Jesus and Raheem and these guys, when they play first nine or they look good with link-up play, they failed in the Champions League multiple times. They failed sometimes in very important situations to put the ball at the back of the net. This Gyokeres guy, I'm scared. This guy cooked us more. He cooked us in the 4-1 against Sporting. And the guy is horrible. He was horrible against defenders. He put himself against one of the newer, younger defenders. He made him suffer. They even switched. Ruben Diaz decided to switch. He made Ruben Diaz suffer. This guy is a killer. And this is what Arsenal need right now. This is the same thing we're talking about Chelsea, the same as Arsenal. This thing of saying, I need Sesko because Sesko can link up play. You've got Jesus. Just bring back Jesus from the bench if you want to link up. But you need someone to finish those chances. That's what Arsenal have been missing for the past few seasons. They just need if they had Gyokeres that time when they were competing with City, if they got him in January, I bet you they could have won the league over us. Because that's those moments where they missed chances in the important games. So I don't know why they're crying. Gyokeres in. Yeah. Even Madueke to Arsenal, I'm supporting that, you know. Big up Dan for selling them again.
What about that? What is okay? So what happened to the rest of the window of Arsenal? What if it's Madueke that is coming to Arsenal?
I mean, this is the thing. The Madueke thing, like, I don't mind that if we also get Rodrigo. If Madueke is the only winger we sign this window, then that's a problem. Because it ultimately means I don't think we've upgraded the left wing, which is the side that we needed to upgrade. So getting Victor Gyokeres makes Rodrigo more attainable because Gyokeres is going to be far cheaper, both in terms of wages and the fee. But yeah, Madueke is just it makes sense if he's coming in genuinely to be a backup to Bukayo Saka and someone that could play off the left.
That's what I don't understand. I actually think it's impossible, Rory. Madueke is leaving Chelsea because he wants guaranteed game time. Why would he go to Arsenal that isn't even going to get less game time? Because basically Saka, when Saka's fit, Saka plays.
Yeah, but I've not heard that he is leaving to get guaranteed game time.
The beginning of the talk, he said that he wanted like a little bit of guaranteed game time minutes.
But he's not going to get more game time at Arsenal than he does at Chelsea, so I don't think that's the reason.
So I don't understand why would he join Arsenal as a player unless he thinks that he's going to get
we're
game
probably
time.
able to pay him more money because he's on 50 grand a week at Chelsea. We've got Reece. Yeah, he's on 50 grand a week. We've got Reece Nelson on 100 grand a week. So we could offer him double what he's currently on.
Reece Nelson's on 100 grand a week.
Yeah. So we could offer him double what he's currently on. He'd get just as much game time, maybe even less game time, but he's still in London. It's
I don't know. 3 now, you know, he come through Tottenham's academy if he goes on.
Yeah, I know. But I don't see a world in which he also said he doesn't really want to play. He's not a massive fan of playing off the left. So even if Arsenal was saying, yeah, you can come in and be our starting left winger, like supposedly that's not really what he wants to do anyway. So
and also, he's not better than Martinelli.
This baffles me. I just cannot work out why Arsenal, unless it's purely as like squad depth. I just.
Well, that's the thing. I genuinely think it has
he
to be.
He scored in 4 games in the Prem last season.
I think it is to do the backup. We spoke
I know he scored a few goals, but he scored 2 of those games were against Wolves, and they were woeful for the majority of the season. He was okay at times. I think he thinks he's a lot better than what he is. I think that's the biggest issue I see with Madueke. But I think the talent's there. I think he believes that once he has one good performance, that'll carry him for the next 10. And Maresca's called him out. I think they've had 3 disciplinary issues this season, Maresca and Madueke.
Honestly, that's the biggest reason that I don't know it doesn't make sense. Given like how strict Mikel Arteta is on discipline and attitude. That's almost the biggest reason it doesn't make sense. Then there's the price. Then there's like potentially.
If Arsenal pay 50 million for Madueke, it doesn't make any sense.
We spoke a couple of weeks back as well, and I was saying to you, like, if you get back up for Saka, then I think Arsenal be in a good position. Maybe it is just that they're looking for someone to.
That's the thing. If it is just that's if we get Rodrigo and Madueke. Then I'm like, okay, Madueke.
What if you get Eze and Madueke?
Same thing. I'd imagine Eze would play off the left more than Madueke. I mean, some people think we're going to get all three. Some people think we're going to get Rodrigo, Eze, and Madueke, which would be insane. But
I think that's a 10 out of 10 win.
But ultimately, that's where I'm at. It's like I can't judge it now until I know what we've done in the rest. In the same way that when people were, when we were going to sign Mosquera as a backup centre back for Saliba, and people were getting angry, oh, why are we signing a centre back instead of a striker? It's like, well, we were obviously still going to sign the striker. So until it's all done, I can't judge it.
Can I ask you as well about the midfield? Because I was having a conversation with a couple of my mates about this as well. So you've got you've got Zubimendi in now, Declan Rice and Odegaard is going to be your starting three, I'd presume. Who is the combination after that?
Norgaard, Marino, Waneri right now. If none of those three were available, you'd be looking at Norgaard, Marino, Waneri.
So that
or
for
Norgaard,
me,
Havertz, Waneri.
Because your attack, I think, once you get Gyokeres in, I think you're good there. I think you're slowly sorting out your attacking line. But then the midfield, for me, if there's any like knocks or injuries in there's the ones where I'm like, who comes in and then.
Well, yeah, if you only say, assuming you don't take all three out at the same time, that would be like if I asked you what if McAllister, Gravenberch, and
I was gonna ask the same. So Liverpool fans talk about this. Your backup at the current moment is literally Endo, Curtis Jones, and Sabozda. That's it.
Yeah,
that's what you have.
I think it's better than what Arsenal's backup is.
Absolutely not.
No.
Then Norgaard.
Norgaard is better than Endo as a DM.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, I see.
Without a okay. Listen.
I see where this is going.
Without a shadow of a doubt, I would rather have Norgaard than Endo.
Actually, by the way, actually worth saying as well. I would actually imagine Miles Lewis-Skelly would be. If we lost all three of our midfielders, you'd then be looking at Miles Lewis-Skelly moving into midfield.
What about Eze? I thought Eze also can play midfield. You know that, right?
Yeah, if we bought Eze, I'm assuming we haven't bought Eze at that point.
Yeah, wait. Don't tell me you think Endo is better than Norgaard. I'd rather take Norgaard. I was just shocked that he's 30. I thought Norgaard was young. Norgaard is a baller. I'll take Norgaard.
Are you asking me that, Patrick? Would I rather Norgaard or Endo?
Endo is not. Come on,
that's correct, bro.
Endo.
Can I ask you a question, Patrick? Yes. Would you have bought Norgaard in your midfield?
I actually wanted him at a point in time. Then
I'm asking now. No. Would you buy him now?
Yes, I would. This Man City midfield, I would have him there somewhere, sitting there. Obviously, he's not going to be, but this Man City midfield, Norgaard is doing something for me.
All right,
Endo.
Fair enough.
I don't know. Okay, look. I watched Endo, but Endo is not.
What part of this game you don't like? What have you seen from Endo? Because he locked up your midfield when we played them. So
yeah, but you say that, but it's not like.
No, I'm not saying that. That's what happened.
I don't think you can be serious, Endz, with this.
I don't think you can be serious about saying Norgaard.
Preferring Endo to Norgaard. That is
not one of you have said Norgaard until Arsenal bought him. Not one of you have ever said, like, do you know what? I'll take Norgaard in my midfield.
But everybody used to say he's decent.
And none of us heard of Endo even when he's at your club because he played 200 minutes last season.
Don't hate because you definitely know.
I am being serious. Do you know how many minutes Endo contributed to your title-winning team? And I'm being very rational here. 200 minutes in a 38 game. That's his contribution.
Yeah, but you're not adding no
title-winning team.
You're talking about minutes, but we can talk about moments when he's come in and helped to see out games. That's the context. Minutes don't show you the context.
I think if you bought a Brentford fan on and asked them to talk to you about Norgaard, I think
I live local to the Brentford fans. I speak to them.
Also, this is the Danish captain.
People think I'm bantering. There is no banter at all.
Nah, you're not honestly going to.
Norgaard is 2 levels above Endo today.
You're not going to tell me.
Right?
Arsenal lost all 3 of their midfielders. I'm not wishing that. I'm just looking at where potential weaknesses are in the oppositions. Right, I respect the Arsenal team. I think that midfield 3. Absolutely, really, really, really good footballers. But I'm like, if you took them out, because I'm always thinking when we have to rotate, we've got Champions League, we've got Premier League, and we've got the League Cup and FA Cup. Arsenal needs to win a trophy this year. If you had to take those 3 out, and you're telling me you're going to have Norgaard in there, Moreno and Waneri, which he's more of a winger than an actual attacking midfielder for me anyway. Obviously, you're an Arsenal fan, so I'm sure you're going to. That's not strong enough for me to then go, yeah, that's good enough to go and battle against. For an example, a Newcastle midfield.
Yeah, but I don't think no one's got that depth though. That's like saying if you took Konate and Van Dijk out, you don't have you're not going to do anything with the centre backs you've got.
How often do you rotate all three midfielders as well?
If you took Rodri, Reinders, and Foden out of City's midfield, they're going to struggle. Like that's for me. I would actually look at it and say where it's more likely you maybe have one injury at a time. If Zubimendi gets injured, Arsenal's solution to that is Declan Rice as the 6. And Marcelo Scally or Marino is the 8. Whereas if Gravenberch gets injured, you're into straight up to end.
But we did have that moment when he did get injured and we had to use him. But what I'm saying is, look, I'm just looking for, like, I'm not having a go at Arsenal because I know you guys, you know, the Arsenal fans will crash out about it. I'm just saying I want to see if that happens this season to see what they say. Because at the moment,
why would it happen? I don't understand why would it happen.
I'll tell you what will happen. Arsenal fans will say, this is really unlucky again. We've lost our entire midfield to injury, and we're lacking.
It's the same. No, but I'm gonna give you an example. If Salah, okay, I don't know who the striker you're gonna buy. I don't know who the striker you're gonna buy. You're linked to Ekitike. If beginning of the season, Salah and Ekitike are out, you're really forced to play with Nunes again. I know that Liverpool fans will say we're unlucky. We're like, and by the way, you don't even have a backup for Mohamed Salah at the current moment.
I know, and I've been saying that we need to fix that. But then we got Frimpong; he could fill that gap because he could play there. So
have you not still got Harvey Elliott as well?
They look most. They're
gonna sell him. They're gonna sell him.
Right,
they actually put him on the market.
He's still there at the moment.
Yeah.
Wait, I thought he's your star boy. You guys don't want him. You don't want him.
Not you guys, bro. Not you guys. Some fans don't want him. Not you guys.
I'm sure because you guys are saying he's your star boy. And now the Endo thing. Look, maybe I don't know. I can't. Norgaard is Norgaard. Even when he was at Brentford, I was like, this Norgaard guy is a problem.
No,
it's Endo.
No, but
Endz, Arsenal will not have Zubimendi, Rice, Odegaard with the backup of Foden, Reinders, and like Caicedo. That is not going to happen. I don't think any team will do this.
Right? If Chelsea lost Caicedo, Enzo, Lavia at the same time, like they'd be screwed.
I'm not saying it will happen, Rory. All I'm saying is every one of us are going to pick up injuries during the season, some more than others. Arsenal went through that. Liverpool in previous years have gone through that, where the season before. What I'm just saying is I'm looking at your midfield going, that combination for me works, but they can't play every game. And I'm just looking at it subjectively. There will be injury. I'm not saying it will happen to any of them, but if there is, I'm looking at the guys that can stand in for them. I don't see Norgaard and Moreno coming into the midfield and you go, that's good enough. And say you have a City. Listen, it's all hypotheticals and stuff, but you got a City and then you've got a Newcastle. I can't see Norgaard and then Moreno standing up to that test. If that's
I can't see Endo and Curtis Jones.
But we've seen that happen. No, but we've seen that happen. We saw that happen last season when we did that. Patrick will tell you what happened when we played.
Leave me alone.
He'll tell you that. But listen, But
that's like we drew against you with Thomas Partey at right back, like Kivior coming into the it's just if you lose a lot of players in the same position, you're going to be in trouble. I think that's.
I just don't think that these guys are going to be. They're not on the level.
That isn't going to be the reason Arsenal don't win the league this season. They've got far bigger issues than their midfield backup. I think tactically they've obviously had a requirement to have someone like Jorginho in the team that at certain times can come in, get on the ball, run the show, help keep possession. Because there'll be certain moments in games where you want that rather than bringing on someone to lock up the team or something like that. Jorginho had a specific tactical role in Arteta's mind, right? So they then brought in an exact replacement pretty much in Norgaard, who's affordable, cheap, attainable, no dramas, doesn't have to move house. It's a great move. It's so smart from Arsenal to just get that done. There's there's just no noise about it. In he comes, Jorginho leaves, perfect replacement. That's exactly what this is.
I like it. 11 million pounds.
No one. Arteta is not. I'll tell you right now. Arteta's not sat there going, "Is he better than Endo?" He literally doesn't give a shit about Endo. He's going right. This guy will do the job.
He doesn't even know Endo. He doesn't even know Endo.
Norgaard will do the job I need him to do in midfield. He plays a lot of football. He barely gets injured for Brentford. He's been a stalwart in their side since they got promoted in the Premier League. He's barely put a foot wrong. International experience as well. He's exactly what they need. So.
No, but
that argument just doesn't do it for me in any sense.
That was my original argument.
If they lose the league, from having 3 midfielders injured and they have to rely on Norgaard for the whole season, then I think the biggest issue for Arsenal is their injury issues rather than who they brought in as backup.
The original argument wasn't to compare the two. The original argument was, if one of those were injured, could he, or two of them, can he come in and then play all those games? For me, I don't think he makes the team any better. If you disagree, then
he isn't being bought to make the team any better. That's not what he's being bought in for.
Your squad, Arsenal playing catch up. They're not on the same
level.
No,
they lost one, so it's a like for like replacement. He's not being bought in
on the same level as.
Can I tell you actually my opinion,
he's obviously
guys?
coming in for Jorginho.
I actually think at this time,
Norgaard's more of a defensive midfielder than he is.
Norgaard is better than Jorginho as a backup today.
Yeah, he is right now. Jorginho's
I believe it.
100%.
I saw Jorginho struggling even to keep up with the slowest players in the league. And sometimes, because Arsenal play on the front foot the majority of the time, Norgaard is more suited to that, to close out games, than Jorginho. I know that people talk about the passing and all this stuff, that Arsenal need to dictate the game. But Arsenal already, let me just finish that. Yeah. Arsenal already dictate the game. Arsenal, one of the highest position-based teams in the league, similar to Chelsea, to Liverpool, to Manchester City. And today, you sign Norgaard, a physical specimen that actually dominates and actually is very good in recovery, in transition, and also is not bad on the ball. Remember, he played for a team that actually passed the ball around to get it to Mbeumo sometimes. And I actually think it's an absolutely amazing signing, especially after the fact that we knew that Thomas Partey is not going to stay because of the charges that he has. So they needed to bring someone, and I agree with Dan 100%. 11 million pounds, no drama, under the radar, nobody thought about it. 11 million pounds, here you go, your backup is sorted.
And Mo, to add on top of that, he understands the role that he's coming in to do. He knows he's not going to be playing every single game. So he understands the duty of what he's going to be asked to do in the team in terms of training and the level. He's a level raiser in training. I think that is one thing that I think you can be sure about, because he's a top pro. He's a professional. Other players will look at him and go, look, if that's the base level of our squad, if that's what I've got to be, that level to get onto the bench for Arsenal, I need to do better in training. So it's just an all-round good move. And he's well aware of what he's coming in to do. And I think we speak so much about players like Saka, and you go, who could you get in as a replacement for Saka that's going to be happy to sit on the bench and come in when they're asked to and be a top pro and not moan? Well, this is who's going to be happy to come in for Declan Rice when he needs to rest for 20 minutes because he's got a massive game on Wednesday night. Well, you can bring on Norgaard, and he knows exactly what he's coming in to do, and he's not going to moan. He's going to get a pay rise from what he's on at Brentford. That's exactly what Endo does at Liverpool as well. There's similar signings in that sense, but that's why it was a good deal for Liverpool to get Endo at the time, and it'll be a good deal for Arsenal to get Norgaard. So you don't need to compare the two, because the likelihood is they're probably going to be brought on in different situations during the game. Like if Liverpool are beating Arsenal, chances are they'll bring on Endo. But if Liverpool are losing to Arsenal, they probably won't bring on Norgaard. So, do you know what I mean? They're just very similar players, and they're going to be used in situations that are similar. So to compare them, it just doesn't really make much sense, because they're not going to be like game winners at the same time.
I think the conversation's getting inflated because I didn't compare them. I think that was based off of the other guys were comparing our midfields if they got injured and whatever. But my point is, I feel like I've seen this from a lot of fans. They keep comparing, Norgaard to Jorginho. I think he's more of the Partey replacement, and I think Zubimendi is the Jorginho one, because from stylistically and how they play. So
but you're looking at it stylistically rather than at the actual
two place DM and two ball playing midfielders, deep line playmakers. So I wouldn't compare Norgaard to Jorginho, because they're two different styles of players. I think he's more lined up with a Partey, and I think Zubimendi is more lined up with a Jorginho. So if you're saying, Norgaard comes in to replace Partey, is he a upgrade? I don't think so, but obviously what the situation is.
I have a simple answer for this before Rory comes in.
Zubimendi is an upgrade on Jorginho.
Go ahead, Rory. I have a simple answer, but just quickly. At his prime, Jorginho was always a starter. So tactically, Zubimendi is basically a better version than Jorginho that won the Champions League with Chelsea, and better than him. So basically, Arsenal have replaced Thomas Partey, who's a little bit athletic, to actually someone that is better on the ball, that can turn a lot faster. Yes, Zubimendi in the ball.
No, but I'm not comparing Zubimendi to. I'm comparing him to Jorginho. This is the problem we have, because to win an argument or to say what you're saying, you're trying to compare two different players. I think the Zubimendi one is Jorginho's replacement for me personally. I think that's
so. And they're gonna. Do you agree that Zubimendi is the starter for Arsenal? Do you agree that Zubimendi is the starter for Arsenal?
Yeah, he is a starter.
Even if Partey stayed.
I don't know with Arsenal. I don't know what they would have decided to do. I think if you spend that type of money, you'd have to start the player. I don't know who they would take out to play.
So they wanted a backup player and they got Norgaard.
No, but I'm talking about your replacement for your DM, which is Partey, is Norgaard. He's not better than Partey.
I think you're going.
But he don't. I don't understand. I'm so confused. But
no one has said that.
You're talking about the importance of the role in the squad, not this. Yes, stylistically, Jorginho is maybe more similar to Zubimendi, but like that's irrelevant. You're like,
why is it irrelevant?
Can you stop? Okay, can we stop talking about stylistically and just talk about the role in your team? Last season, who was the starting DM at Arsenal? Endz?
I would assume Partey was their starting DM.
Okay. Who's the starting DM next season?
I don't know.
It's going to be Zubimendi. I'm telling you now. I'm telling you, it's going to be Zubimendi.
Unless they change the formation. Who knows?
Okay. Unless, that unless tells me that we're just going sideways. Straightforward. Partey was the starter. Zubimendi is the starter. Who's the backup DM for Arsenal last season? I have the answer before you answer. It was Declan Rice. The third choice was Jorginho. And who's going to be the backup DM for Arsenal next season? Still Declan Rice. And who's going to be the third one instead of Jorginho? I'm not talking about stylistically. I'm never mentioned style. I'm just mentioning the rule in the team.
You have to, because what Partey offered to the Arsenal team is going to be different to what Zubimendi. Zubimendi is going to offer what Jorginho offered, how he played. Norgaard would offer similar to what Partey is offering, but what I'm saying is Partey is a way better player than what Norgaard is. So if whoever the star is for Arsenal, cool, they star who they want. But I'm looking at the players' styles. I think Zubimendi will come in and offer.
Okay, let me. I'm gonna flip this in a bit. Who's the starting 10 of Liverpool last season? The high midfielder.
It was Szoboszlai who was our starting 10.
Who is gonna be the starting 10 for Liverpool next season?
Florian Wirtz.
Okay, so basically they aren't similar, so Liverpool have to change.
No,
but the rule is the same though.
No, because we changed stylistically how Liverpool played with our 10. He was more of a covering right side. We got creativity from Mo.
So why won't Arteta change how his midfield options work?
I'm not saying he won't. We're talking about.
So why are you making that argument then? Because it's just
because I'm comparing the players and saying one is an upgrade on one.
You just spent the last 5 minutes making that point, and then you went, I'm not saying they won't though.
I'm saying I'm comparing the players.
You raised that point.
I'm saying that's going to be an upgrade.
You're doing too much there.
We're conflating the conversation. I'm saying is one's an upgrade. Zubimendi's an upgrade on Jorginho. Fair point. Not going to disagree. But I don't see Norgaard as an upgrade on Partey.
And no one said
and all I'm saying is
we spent 10 million quid on him.
But you want to win the Premier League. So when the players have to come out and a player comes in, he's not going to upgrade the squad. So you're cool with that.
No, I'm really getting confused, and I want to really have to move on.
Zubimendi is the upgrade to the squad, which is why, regardless of whether Partey had stayed or gone, Zubimendi was coming in. That's why you wanted him.
So we're back to my original point: was you got three.
No, we're nowhere near your original point.
I gotta move
on. We're nowhere near the original.
Yeah, I think we move on, Mo. This point's
we need to move on. Because I don't see your point. It's the same for Wirtz and Zubimendi.
I don't understand how can I not make any clear. I said one midfielder improves, the other one I don't think does.
Okay. I'm gonna explain. Okay, last thing I'm gonna say. Zubimendi over Jorginho is an 8 out of 10 improvement. So if Jorginho was 2, Zubimendi is 10, for example, right? Cool. Okay. If Thomas Partey was 8, Norgaard is 3. So basically, Arsenal squad overall improved. Okay, I'm done.
That's your opinion. I don't think so, man.
All right. Okay. Moving on to the actual forward line. How does Arsenal team now compare to Manchester City with the summer window and Liverpool? That is the main conversation that is happening now between people on social media. Now that we got a confirmation basically from Fabrizio that Arsenal will sign Gyokeres. So basically Arsenal have gotten 4 players at the current moment in the squad, which is Norgaard, Kepa, Zubimendi, and Gyokeres. They're still looking for left wing. City have gotten Cherki, Reinders, Rory. They're looking to get a right back, which might be Dumfries, because his release clause is very cheap. versus Liverpool, who got Frimpong, Gyokeres, and Wirtz at the current moment. Who had a better signing at the current moment? Dan, you're the neutral. Dan, you're the one from that I didn't mention.
Are we including Madueke in the Arsenal deal? Or?
Not now, because not now.
I really like the Gyokeres signing. I just think him on his own is enough for Arsenal to really take a step forward. So I'll probably side with them. I probably would.
Arsenal?
Yeah.
Do you think the team is more complete than the other teams?
I think they were so obviously missing a player, like Gyokeres. Doesn't have to be Gyokeres. Could have been Sesko. It was someone who had the capability to win them games when they couldn't. And I think that's what they were missing. And I think last season that really did show. And I also think, arguably, we questioned some of their recruitment last summer as well. Was it necessary recruitment? It proved out to be useful, but was it necessary? And I think this season they've gone about it in a different way. And I think they've gone necessary first. So, yeah, I really like that signing. I think Gyokeres strikes fear into every other Premier League team if he comes with the form that he's had in Portugal. I think he's potentially that good for Arsenal that he could win in the league.
Anybody else want to?
I think right now, Liverpool, purely based on they've attacked 3 positions and they've, I think, pretty much done as good as they could have done. For that, is there really a better right back they could have done available than Frimpong? Don't think so. Gyokeres, left back, anyone better available? Probably not, unless you get a Nuno Mendes, but you're never going to get that. And then obviously Florian Wirtz is a huge level raiser. I think Arsenal, because we still haven't done a left winger, for me, that's such a fundamental signing that we have to make. That until we've done that, and until we know who that is, I'd probably put Arsenal behind Liverpool. City, I don't know.
No one actually rates that City signings as much, which is very strange to me.
And it's got worse now. Do you know it's got worse? I bet you're wondering what is Patrick doing. I'm actually filming right now. The news that Nico Gonzalez is leaving, I thought it was just lies. Now Fab is reporting that this is solid. And if this Pep Guardiola guy, yes, if he dares, keeps 35-year-old Gundogan over Nico G. I'm sorry.
God, is he actually doing this?
Yes, it's true now. Fab has just reported, there's a video of Fab saying Nico Gonzalez, they're looking to, if somebody comes with an offer, they're looking to move, he's not part of the plans. What plans? Pep, are you keeping 32-year-old Kovacic and 35-year-old? Oh my God. I told people, I gave people warning. I warned them. I was like, this guy loves Gundogan, Akanji, John Stones, and these guys. He will find a way to offload the youngsters. And there's rumors now, believe it or not, that even Kusanov, there's potential if you show up with an amount. Do you know what this shows more? Do you remember when I said it in January that I have a feeling he doesn't like these January signings? They're not his. Do you remember what he said about Omar Mamouche? Oh, the club
he said it's the club signing. Yeah, it's not my signing.
Or Nico Gonzalez, the club signed him. He kept on saying these words, the club. He doesn't want them. That's why he didn't play in the Club World Cup. And now these youngsters, they're saying there's loans available, and he's keeping these old players that.
And he's giving Rico Lewis a new contract, which is actually, I think it's mad. I think it's crazy.
I swear.
He loves Rico, though. He loves his intelligence, he does. And they understand.
Well, have you seen
how Pepsi's playing, doesn't he?
Yeah, but from the treble season, Rico Lewis have regressed significantly.
Oh yeah,
and I'm like, oh my God.
I think arguably so is Pep, so is his team. They've all got a lot worse.
All of them, yeah.
So it's Man City aren't exciting me in the way that I thought they might with the type of players they were signing, because I felt like they were going to be really exciting, energetic players to sort of lift this City squad again. And I just don't think Pep's going to do it. And I'm starting to feel like maybe that relationship is just coming to an end. It's the longest Pep's ever been at a club. Maybe you get to the point where you have to start looking to move in a different direction to just sort of reignite the spark, maybe. Because, if you keep Gundogan, it will stay stale. Instead of, bedding in the youngsters.
Yeah, he's making the same things that Klopp did with Henderson and Fabinho. Yeah. He's making the same things. It's like too loyal. Yeah, too loyal to your old. And then look at what Arne Slot have come in and said, no. We're doing Gravenberch, DM. We're doing McAllister. We're actually doing a revolution in this team. You know what I mean? And I'm like, okay, that's completely different. He actually played Diaz up top and Gakpo up top. And he's like, I'm not being loyal to the older heads in the team. Pep is doing what Klopp has done. And it cost Liverpool. It cost Liverpool about a season or two at the end. And I'm wondering if Pep is going to change or not. But I don't know. I don't see City winning the title, and people attack me for it. I just don't see it. At the current moment, as it stands with their lineup, I don't see them winning the title. I see them maybe being third, especially after Arsenal got Gyokeres, especially after yesterday. But people don't like it. They just want to put City ahead. Some people even went further and said that City will be ahead of Liverpool and they're going to be back because they got Rodri back. And I'm like, based on what?
Yeah, he got injured already. And he
Is
doesn't
he
look...
injured?
Yeah, he's injured.
Yeah,
He doesn't look
picked up a lot.
smooth anymore. Do you know what? That's why more. That's why you have to suspect that maybe this Nico Gonzalez thing is true, because Nico Gonzalez sat on the bench and he made sure he plays Rodri over the minutes you're supposed to play him for a guy who just came from injury. I don't get him. And guess what? When things go wrong, Kusanov is one of our fastest defenders. Malcolm is rinsing you with pace. Guess what he does? He brings a Kanji who came off surgery, slow, and I don't know, man. I'm confused. And I hope I'm wrong, because I want people that I have a suspicious feeling that this guy has sentiment towards certain players. If he does this, because even these guys who were signed in January, people might say it's not good enough. I think they were better. They are better than what we have right now and could have helped us more than what we have. It's just,
Patrick, can I
think
just add
sentiment.
one thing in? Because I understand the point you're making. I do believe he has loyalties towards certain players, and I don't understand how firmly this is being implemented by FIFA. But is there not the clause in the Club World Cup where they have to play their considerable best players or first 11? So is that why those players are playing? Is that why Musiala was rushed back for Bayern after not playing for 3 months? Comes back in. Obviously the injury is a freak one, but is that why these players have been rushed back for the Club World Cup? Because there's that sort of thing in the contract of participating in the competition that they have to be playing their best players, and Rodri would be one of those for City.
I think maybe, because I was confused. And do you know who another one, Dan? And I hope. Look, I'm breaking at this point in time, because at the point where even Oscar Bob, right, who Chelsea were looking for, he played 15 minutes, Oscar Bob. And I saw, look, if we talk about the contracts and big ball players, Savinho is not a big player. So, Dan, Savinho was tired, gassed out, breathing against Halal. Oscar Bob was just warming up and he never brought him in. I think you're right. He's got favorites. Dan Rory is right. He's got favorite players like Rico and them. And I know them. It's Rico, Akanji. He loves Akanji so much. He's tried to make Akanji a midfielder before it failed, but he's forced it multiple times. He loves Gundogan. Silva, we know he loved him so much. This is the first time he picked the captain himself. I think there's just sentiment, and I hope because the thing about Pep is he used to be famous to be ruthless. Remember, he came to City, Joe Hart out of the window. Oh, you're gone. You, Nolito, oh, you have attitude. You leave. This, you leave. At Bayern, you leave. At Barcelona, you leave. Recently, as order has it gates, he even joked about himself that the order I get, I'm becoming softer. Maybe it's true. The more you stay, you're soft. But I hope this Nico Gonzalez news is great, because the whole Man City Twitter is lighting up. They will not take this. Even the happy clappers or the happy gatekeepers, they are not taking this one. They're like, no way. And if we see an extension of Kovacic, I swear to God, I don't know. You know what? Liverpool, enjoy your other league. If Liverpool and Arsenal, enjoy it. If this is where we're going, just enjoy it.
Yeah. Just a couple of super chats to do. DG Steel is thank you for the empty super chat. Verts, Kerkez, Frimpong, and Mamaj Valley. That is a Liverpool signings. I know the downplaying of the Arsenal would start 100%. You know it's gonna happen, regardless of what Arsenal do. But it's gonna be downplaying. In case of just Arsenal catching Liverpool, is that something that people are looking at with? By the way, Diaz is just being linked to Bayern Munich, and it says that personal terms haven't been agreed, by the way.
Wait, personal terms?
Yes. It said that he's not happy with this.
With the Musiala thing, isn't it? Does he come in?
He's not happy at Liverpool. Yeah. And by the way, that actually distanced the Rodrigo to Bayern Munich that everyone has been talking about lately. So, because Rodrigo prefers the Premier League, there will be two names only. I think it will be probably Liverpool and Arsenal in for Rodrigo. Does the window depend on what Liverpool get, or they're good enough now?
I think they need another attacker. If Diaz goes, I think they need another attacker.
What if he doesn't go?
No, they do, because they've obviously
can't afford
they've
anyone.
obviously just, if they lose Diaz, they've obviously not got Jota in the squad. They are going to have to sign a player.
2 players.
Yeah, they're going to have to if they lose Diaz as well.
But then
Is
that
it-
also means, even if you don't go and sign 2, that also means you're keeping Darwin Nunez, which I think most Liverpool fans believe is not good enough.
I'll tell you what, though, if they do manage to offload Nunez for a decent fee to Saudi, get a good fee for Diaz, they'll probably be able to bring in someone like...
Well, they could
Neymar,
bring in
for instance.
Rodrigo.
Yeah, or put themselves into the Isak conversation or something, if like that could be reignited.
I think,
Ekitike.
yeah, I
Or
think we were
Sesko.
linked
Or
with
Sesko.
Ekitike before.
Yeah.
I think we've
Sesko.
got an open field now to
Well,
go after the striker.
Because there's a little feeling that because Sesko, Leipzig basically went back on everything that they had agreed that they would concede to Arsenal this summer. They rolled back on all of it. Suddenly they're demanding 90 million euros and they want the majority of it paid as a release clause up front. Basically made it impossible for us to even negotiate. And there are some people that think that is Jurgen Klopp's doing and that he is basically waiting for Arsenal to drop out and then he'll give better terms to Liverpool, which is a complete conspiracy,
That's smart, yeah.
but maybe possible.
You know, there is no Liverpool fan that will be happy with Sesko. None. I haven't seen one Liverpool fan of Sesko.
Because they
I
want
have
Isaac,
respect
though.
for them.
More, they want Isaac, and that's a dream. They want
But
Isaac.
even
what?
they
Like,
said,
signing
even
a
if we
player
don't
like
get,
Wirtz does things to you, right? And you just expect that level is attainable again and again and again in signings.
Yes,
And I think
yeah.
Oh, you mean
it
like
won't
the
always be
excitement is
case.
too high now? They
Yeah,
want
yeah, because
everything. That's
Yeah.
you want that dopamine rush again. You just like paid over 100 million for one of the best players in the world. You think you should be able to do that in every position, and it's whether or not that's attainable or not.
There's a
I
couple
think
of
if
fans in the-
Sesko goes to Liverpool, I'm not sure. Like what Liverpool will do next season. I'm gonna assume that Salah has to hit the same numbers or even close to that for Liverpool to retain the title. I'm
Can
being
I-
serious.
can
I think Sesko's got huge potential. Like I still think it would be a good signing.
You know,
But
every
it is
time I have a
potential.
conversation, every time I have a conversation with a Liverpool fan, if it's Osam, Mike Das, or Mac, or everyone is saying that Liverpool will have as good of a season of last season. And I would say, unless you believe that Mohamed Salah is the best player to ever play in the Premier League and he's going to repeat what he done last season, which is a historic season, you
It's
need
an
to bring
Afghan
in
season as well, by the way.
you need to bring in someone that will bang in goal. And at the current moment, you have Darwin Núñez and Gakpo and Diaz, and none of them is a 20-plus goal.
But
in the Premier
Wirtz can
League.
unlock. But Wirtz can unlock. Maybe can unlock that striker. Can give the striker balls on the
Darwin
plate.
Núñez. Well, Mohamed Salah presented the guy with 25 chances, and
No,
the
no, no,
guy
no.
missed
I wasn't talking about
70%
Núñez.
of them.
I'm not talking about Núñez. I'm talking about Sesko. What if Wirtz
Maybe,
is the
maybe
guy
I don't
who?
know.
Also,
I think
if
Sesko-
hypothetically, if Liverpool do go and say lose Diaz, Núñez, a couple of players move on as well, and they go and buy players that they believe have to be of like first team quality, they're going to be starting. How many players does it get to? Say it's 5-6 players are bought in this summer to be immediately sort of starters in this Liverpool team. At what point does that become an issue in the sense of a rebuild, or learning each other's game? It's almost like Arne Slot decided to get one more squeeze of the lemon with the players that he had, and then he's going to rebuild. Do we expect instant impact off the players that they're bringing in, or does it take time to gel? That would be my concern. At 3, I think you can go, okay, yeah, we could get away with that for a moment of time. But if you start going up into like 5, 6s, all of a sudden that's half the squad is completely different to what you left the last day of the season with.
I think
And
that's
also
for many teams, though, right? Most of the teams are going to get 5 or 6.
But
or
we're
4
we're
after.
talking about the league winners. Does that keep you at the same level, even if the talent's there?
Yeah,
The just re-gelling that can hinder your season more than you might think.
I think-
it might take you back.
no,
There's not
I
many
think it's a fair
teams
point.
that lose half their team, rebuild, and instantly go again straight away. It normally takes a little bit of time to gel.
Yeah,
it all depends on who you lose, though. We've kept the important ones were Salah and Virgil. For me, we had to keep. You still got Alisson there. You've still got Konate. Obviously, there's a contract thing with him. I think the positions we've improved on. We needed someone that's more of a creative midfielder that can unlock players and free up a bit more of the reins. Though Salah doesn't have all the weight on his shoulder to be the main creator. So we've got that in now. You've got a more vibrant, energetic fullback in Gyokeres, which, Premier League proven. You've also added another fullback in Frimpong, which can play multiple positions if we change to a back five, or you can use him as a right wing or a right back. So you've got that energy for days, and that means Liverpool probably going to go back to having the overlapping fullbacks, which is going to be a nightmare. Young, energetic, ready to go. And then I look at the striking position. Of course, we need to go and get someone. But back to your point about, changing too much. I think we've changed the right positions. We needed a left back, sorted. Needed a right back, sorted. Needed a creative 10, sorted. Now we need a striker. These are positions. It's not like we've gone out there and just got.
But you might also need a left winger if Diaz is to go. You've also potentially got Harvey Elliott leaving the club, which is another player that
he never played, though, to be fair.
Okay, he didn't play, but he did have moments where he would play. And then
so did Nunes,
you want
him out.
I actually think that Liverpool will not buy a midfielder then, because they have 3 starters and literally 3 backups in Endo, Szoboszlai. So they're gonna go in the season like Arsenal with 6 midfielders.
Right.
That's what Arsenal.
But then,
so they're gonna try to do 6 midfielders. Offensively, very lacking.
They're gonna have to bring in players if they maybe more though, because they might lose 3 more, or they might have lost 3 more than they planned to do. So they probably didn't think that Diaz was a definite cert to go. They certainly didn't know what was going to happen this week, and they probably have Nunes sort of planned into the
centre back as well. Centre back as well.
I think Gay will be a Liverpool player.
Van Dijk. That's the thing. When it comes to Liverpool, whether or not they can repeat what they did last year, there is also an element of like. Last year, Salah was fit the whole season, Van Dijk was fit the whole season, Gravenberch was fit the whole season. If you don't get that again this season, again, we said like the drop from Gravenberch to Endo is big, the drop from Van Dijk is huge, and the drop from Salah is huge. So if you don't get that luck again, and I mean Salah's going to go to AFCON, so you're losing him for 6 weeks anyway, and we know when he comes back from AFCON, it's not always great. So I do think, look, it's not a guarantee basically that Liverpool have as good a season next season as they did this.
No 2 seasons are the same, is it? So you're right in that instance. But as I said, we've fixed the issues that we had.
But the more you replace and the more players that come in, the less likely you are to have a smoother season as you had the previous season.
No, you're right in terms of the gelling. The gelling part, yes.
It's how long does that take? Now, to be fair, you could back Arne Slot and say he come in as a new manager into a new squad that he didn't know at all, and he obviously gelled straight away. So he obviously created an environment that everyone worked in and understood each other extremely quickly. So there could be that, but I'm just asking the question. I'm not saying it will happen. I still probably believe Liverpool are probably just favourites, but I do believe Arsenal are moving in the right direction to really challenge them again.
I think at the start of the season, it's an advantage that you don't necessarily have to have your new players settled. So like Arsenal next season on the opening day could, if they wanted to, start with Raya, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, Miles Lewis-Skelly, Rice, Marino, Ødegaard, Saka, Havertz, Martinelli. Like that, and that team is generally capable of winning most games. Whereas if Frimpong, Gyokeres, Wirtz, and whoever else don't necessarily bed in straight away, could be more difficult.
But normally we'd still have Robbo at the club, so it's exactly what you just mentioned.
Oh yeah, he's still there. He hasn't left.
So it'd be Robbo, Virgil,
no, but
Konate, Bradley. They play at the
Wait, is Semeka's going, man? Is Semeka's going?
There's no news. As I said, Liverpool news has been.
I gotta go, guys. Cheers.
Yeah, see you, Rory.
I see you, man.
Yeah, Liverpool news have been put on hold, isn't it? So there's nothing there in terms of incoming and outgoing. From what it left off at before, obviously the tragedy of Jota, we were looking to, Gay was on his way to Liverpool pretty much. He said that he agreed personal terms.
I actually think he's going to be a Liverpool. I actually think he's going to be a Liverpool.
So he's going. He's definitely going.
So that gives you your centre back there. We needed to assess.
Chelsea should have been fucking all over this deal.
They should have. I think the only position is the striking position.
I think I'm someone who called it in the beginning of last summer's window with you, Dan, when I said that Chelsea should sign Gay, but they view him as too expensive.
He's a
It's too
leader, isn't it?
expensive.
He's a leader in the back, and that's what you need. He's like a leader in the back. I rate him. I don't know what
think I actually think he's not going to settle to be a backup. He's going to try to snatch the starting spot.
Well, he better.
Yeah, we had that
obviously.
debate, didn't we, a few months ago with Tom, and Tom was certain he'll get more game time than any of us thought. But I don't really know how that works. I obviously think Konate is probably going to leave next season. So maybe
I have a feeling then that actually, if they sign Gehi, Konate might be on the market.
Yeah, because then they can generate money for him, can't they? Yeah.
Yeah, because otherwise,
Although he won't go. Will he go
I just
PSG
think
now?
that, 'cause
that
he said he
they're
wanted to stay, right? He said he wanted to stay.
Yeah, they said. Okay, to be honest with you, my
Trent
trail of
that
thought is that of course Konate would want to stay. He's playing at a top club that is gonna challenge for the league. That might actually be favourites to win the league if they bring in the strikers and the left wingers and the centre back they're promising. And then he, at the end of his contract, instead of Liverpool getting 50 to 40 million from him, he can bank 20 million pounds at his pocket and his agent's pocket from the club that he's going to sign. So it's not that Konate, with all due respect, is not playing at Brentford. Konate is playing at one of the best clubs and one of the best teams in the world. So he definitely would want to stay. What would he want to leave? He's getting paid. He's playing. And why would you want to leave? The club should sell him, though. I think the club should sell him.
They
And I
should
know that
learn their lesson from Trent. They should go, look, we can't have that happen again. We need to make
I know
sure we get money for
Liverpool
these
fans are saying that Konate, if he stays, winning the league is better to us financially than 40 million. And I'm like, actually, it is not, because the difference between Liverpool and Arsenal last season was basically £5 million difference in prize money. And if you get Gehi is good enough to replace Konate, because that is what everyone knows, right? Like things. Gehi is not injury prone. Konate might get injured. I think Liverpool should sell him this summer.
No chance. Keep him. If we sell him, we're making ourselves weaker as a team. Obviously, if he wants to leave,
I understand, but you're getting the money. You can use this money to get Gehi and another centre back.
We're fans of a football club. We don't get none of the money that they get. So regardless, you'd want to keep your best team together and go and win more trophies. I think that's more important than us going, at least we got 50 million as a fan. That doesn't change your life at all. The club got it. You didn't as a person. So I'd rather him help us go and retain the Premier League. As a fan, you get that because now your club is, another Premier League title. So I'd rather that than sell him. But if he wants to leave,
I don't have the same confidence as you about guaranteeing the Prem title. Like you,
maybe being champions and hearing the excuses from the other.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, that's exactly what City felt like we're winning the title,
and that's why they won 4 in a row, right?
Like City, every time they're like, it doesn't matter the competition, we'll kickstart our season second half and win the title.
Do you know what's gonna be funny? I keep thinking in the back of my head where we are all just gassing up. People are gassing up City, they're gassing up Arsenal, gassing up Liverpool, and then have you seen how this Chelsea team has gone in the Club World Cup semi-final, and through this tournament? This is how this Chelsea team gels.
They're going to be the best team. They're going to be the best team in the world based on what Charlie said.
No. I'm just saying, just imagine that they gel because of this Club World Cup and come back and just continue. It can happen. And it's just, even Newcastle, just imagine if Newcastle shows up. Because the Prem is funny. Somebody just shows up sometimes. You're like, well, where did it come from?
Listen, last season, not one pundit, not even our fan base as such, rival fans alike, did not put Liverpool in the title.
There's only one player I know.
Yeah.
There's only one fan I know, which is Jamie Phillips.
No, it was me actually, bro. It was me, the first one to say, yeah, because I based it off of the previous season, and that because we fell out of the race in game week 30 and we had all those injuries. And I said, if these boys could stay fit, we could really kick on and go and win it. Lo and behold, we did. But no one said we could win it because everyone looked at our team and said they're this, they're that, they're not good enough. Then we went and won it. So,
but no one saw Salah having the season that he was going to have.
I was about to say that exact same thing.
You can't sit there and say, I knew Salah was going to suddenly go to another level above what he did.
Not another level, to be the best ever season in the history of the Premier League.
But you're
no
just
one can sit there and claim
you can throw that out there. But we've seen Mo get 20 every season.
Yeah, not 50.
So then,
exactly.
No, but we're talking about
20, 30, not 47.
Is this conversation overall, or is this about the Premier League? On the Premier League, we've seen Mo.
No, in the Premier League, he broken the record of 38 games in the history of the sport.
Yeah, that's it.
100 years of the Premier League, no player has ever had an individual season like this man. because I'm proud. I'm Egyptian. I'm proud of him.
Thank
But
you.
But it's a team
no
sport,
one,
come on,
no
Mo.
one,
It's a team sport, though.
no one. Okay, let me give you an example. No one, for example,
Hmm.
expected Haaland to, in his first season, break the record. Like no one expected Salah to come in from Roma and break the record of the Premier League in his first season. These things are unpredictable. Unless you're Messi or Ronaldo, you cannot sit here and say, I'm building my analysis based on Mohamed Salah, for example, repeating what he did last season, because that has never happened in the history of the sport.
And
In the
and
Premier
Mo,
League,
they had a new manager coming in, and they had players hit double figures that haven't hit double figures in the Premier League. So to line up all those things, that was why it was such a rare prediction, because people just didn't know what Arne Slot was going to do. People didn't expect Salah to put the whole team on his back and do what he did, and people didn't expect the other players to actually step up at the same time because of the levels Salah probably reached. He was able to create so much for those other players that they managed to up their own numbers. I think to sit here and say that people knew that was going to happen I think that's just an incredible.
it's the same as if
bold
someone
statement.
tells me Endz today that
Hmm.
I think Chelsea will win the league next season. I'm like, based on what?
But Chelsea would almost be an easier prediction to suggest that it might happen, because there's stabilities in there's obvious stable elements of the team to be able to predict upon. You could say, I know Cole Palmer's this good. I know Delap is a real prodigy in terms of what he could be. Their midfield's very good. Maresca did better than what a lot of people thought he was going to do. Everyone thought he'd be sacked by Christmas. Liverpool, no one knew exactly what was going to
Not
happen.
even
because there
Liverpool
was
fans did this.
Yeah, because there was a whole new manager coming in and people just didn't know.
Yeah, but
And I
he
think
did. He's a
actually-
Liverpool fan, and he
I'm
did.
telling you,
Yeah,
I-
okay, but
Endz,
that is, and I'll say this to Endz and to Jamie, because I know both of them predicted it. I think it's on blind faith. I don't think you can sit there and say, I knew what happened the season before and I knew we were going to win it, because it was under a completely different manager and you had not a lot of evidence to know exactly what Arne Slot was going to do.
Endz, you know, the leopard in the tree thing that Sam started, it
So it
went
was
global.
opium.
It went
opium.
global to the point that people believed it. Even Hussam himself, listen, Hussam is my friend, you know, like I speak to him outside the stream. He really didn't believe that Liverpool would go on towards the end of the season and have that good of a thing. He's like, we're going to fall off. And he's basing it based on the season before. He said, we still have Szoboszlai as our number 10. We still have Darwin Núñez and Jota up top. We still have Diaz. And he's like, we're going to fall off. Eventually, that is based on the history. We look at the history and we try to predict the future. And he looked at the history and said, we fell off last season because our strikers weren't clinical. They are still not clinical. Mohamed Salah,
Nah,
you know,
that wasn't.
Can I give you- can I give you a stat?
Because we had
Can I
all
give you a stat?
the reason why was because of the injuries, bro. Let's be honest. That's why we fell off. We got all of our
you won the majority of the games. And the season before, you won the majority of the games with the injuries. When Salah was an AFCON, you won the game.
So I said, yeah, but we had to scrape by those games. This is what I'm saying. The young kids, credit to them, came in and did a great job. But my point was, if you could keep all of these boys fit, we're talking about elite players, keep them all fit, and we get to the same position, that's where my faith was, that these boys were able to go and cross the finishing line. And we
Liverpool,
did.
you know, Liverpool had the same problem that they had the season before. You know what is that problem?
What's that? Problem?
Missing big chances. You are number 1 in the league last season in missing
And we
big
also scored the most
chances.
goals, man. So context is there. We also scored loads of goals as well. It just means we create more than the average team. That's all it means.
Because Mohamed Salah led the league in creating chances.
But we've seen that over 8 years as well. It's not like something that's weird that we've not seen him score this amount of goals. He scores goals in the Premier
No,
League.
we haven't seen.
Can I ask a question? If Harry Kane scored 20 plus goals in every season, and then suddenly Harry Kane in one season scores 40 goals, can we sit down and say, yeah, we've seen this before, or that is different?
No, but I'm talking about the goals. You're talking about the overall contribution. I'm talking about the goals. I've seen him score these amount of goals for our football club. It's not nothing new for a Liverpool fan to go, rah. Obviously, it was an extremely very good season from him.
It wasn't enough to win. It wasn't enough to win you the league in all those other seasons.
Yeah, but it's what we've seen it done. That's the argument, right? We're acting like we've never seen it happen.
We haven't though. We haven't seen Salah have a season like that.
We've seen this. We've seen more assists than normal, but we've seen him score this amount of goals.
But I think the assist is what's so key here, is because he was able to help the rest of the team also have a huge contribution towards Liverpool winning games. That meant that won you the league pretty comfortably against any other team in the country.
As I said, I'm keeping it to the Premier League. Listen, the assist.
So am I. I've not spoke at all about.
No.
Yeah,
47 GA in the league is unprecedented. That's a historical season in a 30 game.
Great. I'm not downplaying it. I'm just
Are
saying.
you expecting Salah to repeat the same thing, Laz?
What? Okay, if he's now done it, what's stopping him from trying to do it again?
Because history
it's not
suggests
easy.
that never happened.
Yeah, look at Haaland. Look at Haaland and them.
Okay,
It's
but
not
what do we
easy.
know is guaranteed though? We know he guarantees to score 20 goals, right? Because we've seen that
Absolutely,
over the past 8 years.
100%.
All right, so then let's
100%.
say we got 20. We need to find the rest of them somewhere.
Does he
Is
get
not
another?
good enough
Does he
to find-
find another 20 assists then?
Well,
is
you've
that
got
what he's
another
capable
player
of
in the
doing?
team called Florian Wirtz. He's probably going to take up a bit of slack, so maybe he doesn't necessarily need to because that guy can then pick up the
That's
slack
fair.
on that. So, do we need him to have one of those seasons again? No, but we don't need him to go and have one of those crazy seasons because now we've brought in someone that's one of the best creative 10s in the world. If he goes and does that, fantastic. It helps us massively, and then Florian Wirtz can pick up the slack of the rest
If
of the time.
they share and both of them get like 60 GA together, I think that would be a great season. Just 60 GA.
As
Let me
a-
do the super chat before we get on it. The first 3 games I saw a different ball moving fast, players moving around and not standing it out, but we went back to the type. That is a City fan, of course. By the way, there's a lot of City fans lately that are having big doubts for some whatever. Big doubts, bro. Like I'm seeing Hamza yesterday on the show. Hamza, having big doubts over Chelsea season, over Man City season next season. And I'm like,
El Halal humbled us. That's what I can tell you. El Halal humbled us.
but I'm gonna say this. If I'm gonna ask everyone in the chat, even including Arsenal fan, who are in the show, if you are to choose between Arsenal and Liverpool to win the title next season, who are you choosing?
Are you asking the panel? It's Liverpool.
I'm asking everyone on the panel and before
Liverpool,
we end the show.
Do we need to get more? Do we need to get another player in? I'd say a couple more. Yes, if
You will. I'm sure that Liverpool will sign a striker.
But I'm looking at the team. The team is still there. That's the title-winning team. We've improved the areas that we needed to improve on, and we've made the squad better. Not just buying players for the sake of buying players. I'm all in on our team going again. And look, I see someone putting is it a must for Liverpool? Yeah, because we spent big money. There's a pressure for the manager to go and deliver again. Of course there is. We don't make excuses and they have different phases. We just get on with it and try and win.
A top striker is needed to ease the burden on Salah and Wirtz, 100%. So Dan, if they get a striker, who are you picking?
Yeah, what if Liverpool get a striker as well?
They will get. It is reported actually. It's just reported that they will get a striker.
Yeah,
It's
then
reported.
it depends who the striker is. I think
It will be between Ekitike and someone from that ilk.
If they get a striker that's capable of putting up, 15, 20 goals, then I think they'll just walk the league. I think because they're going to be even better than they were last season if those players gel. I think that's the biggest question mark I would have around Liverpool, is the point I raised earlier, is just how many players is too many players to blend in, and how many points can you afford to drop in a Premier League season? Like if you can win the league by as many points as you did this season, then you can probably afford to have a couple of slips if the other teams can't get close. But some seasons we've seen you can't afford to slip from day one, and you can lose 3 games in a Premier League season. That's the only thing I'd say. It just depends how much of a jump Arsenal can make back, really.
Which is what the super chat before I ask Patrick is about. Is does Endz have the same energy for Arsenal next season then, if their key players like Saka stay fit, that they are a strong contender for the league?
I never said they wasn't. But they have to listen, they have to claw back 10 points. Those players will help them claw that 10 points back.
Can I ask a question? Do you think that 10 points was due to injuries for Arsenal?
Yeah, I was about to ask the same thing. Was that 10 points real, or it was just?
I think for them is when we drop points, they decided to drop points. Every time we let them back in, they decided to not capitalize on it. I think that's where the 10 points came from. It was
last month as well. They did take their foot off the gas, Arsenal, didn't they? In the league, it was like
Liverpool as well. But Liverpool
did,
Liverpool didn't
Arsenal,
win a game after they won the title.
They won the Champions
Arsenal
League.
weren't losing games, were they? But did they not draw quite a lot towards the end of the season?
Yeah, they
Arsenal
did.
But it's actually crazy that Liverpool didn't win it. That 10 points is actually not a real reflection of the difference in the league. I think it was 15 plus points, because Liverpool really went to Ibiza after they won the title. That
We
is how
actually did.
unserious they were.
Endz, your club has to stop that because you guys have you have the every time when you win the league, you guys have. I know that it doesn't matter, but I'm just saying sometimes just stamp your authority high. But you know what makes me laugh is your team. Your team actually just goes on. We don't give a shit anymore. You know what pisses me off? It's because sometimes people are competing for the third and second spot. You guys give away points just like that. You just give them away.
Can we not enjoy? Can we not? When you guys won your 4 back-to-back, yeah, we didn't say nothing to you guys. You enjoyed it.
No, but we get greedy. You know the thing about Pep? He still gets greedy. He continues playing the team. And
Liverpool knew they're not going to get Centurion, so they didn't care. Guys, can I ask guys something? Before there's 1,000 people here and we're only on 250 likes, and I think that is shameful, actually. So can we get the likes up a little bit, guys? Hit that like button at least before we end the show. Get us to 300 likes, which is going to be actually the bare minimum. So the like button is underneath your live chat, guys. Hit that like button, guys.
But can I ask Dan something before we leave here? Because I just want to ask Dan, as a Chelsea fan, when you sit there and you're looking at how things are going right now, where do you what's your ambition as a Chelsea fan right now? Like what are you with the team right now where it's going?
Yeah.
Let's say, for instance, let me say for lucky you even win the Club World Cup and then it goes on. Like, where do you see things? You say Maleska is cooking because the semi is a good thing that you've reached the semi. Maybe I'm the only one who's hyped about the Club World Cup, but I think it's respectable. The teams were difficult, even the Brazilian teams were very difficult. But what are you looking at right now? Are you like me where I'm saying I'm competing for top 4? You're like, nah, fuck no, we're gonna do good here.
Yeah, I think we have to have a respectable. The Club World Cup, I can sort of, if we win it, fair enough, great. But I'm not really putting too much pressure on winning that. I don't think we've been tested against teams, that's for sure, and I think other teams have definitely shown up. Like Flamengo gave us a good game, and we obviously ended up conceding quite a few goals to them. We haven't really played anyone of note that I would sort of judge where Chelsea will be at in European football. So, not really putting too much weight on it unless we get to the final and we turn up against the likes of Real Madrid or PSG. Then I think you can start getting more excited about Chelsea. I think we've looked okay. I think next season, I would say a very competitive top 4 challenge, a decent Champions League knockout sort of run. Yeah, quarterfinals at a push, something like that, I think would be pretty respectable. A lot of these guys
depending on who you're facing around the 16.
Yeah, I think as long as we can have a decent Champions League campaign, get through that, pretty comfortably, look like we can sort of do something at that level that puts us in the mix of the knockouts. So I would be okay with that. I don't expect us to go and win it. And I think in England, I would like to win a domestic trophy. I think that needs to be done. So that would be where I'm at. That wouldn't be what I want Chelsea to do. Obviously, I want Chelsea to go and win everything. But realistically, I don't think this team is capable of doing that. And I don't think that's the owner's expectations either. So I sort of balance mine off of wanting to win as a Chelsea fan and where the owners, I think, probably aim this squad to be with the type of players they're signing. But, if they all hit the ground running, then I might adjust that throughout the season. But that would be where
we'll see how it goes. Guys,
also, just quickly, Mo, one sec.
Yes.
I've got the date here quickly on Arsenal. From the 5th of April, they dropped 11 points in the Premier League to the last game of the season.
What about Liverpool?
I didn't check, but that was just
Mo really wants that Liverpool thing. I don't know why somebody is writing in the comments that Patrick, don't you know the Liverpool team lost one of their teammates with that? No, I don't think you get where I'm coming from. I'm saying last season, that's when before that happened. They always do this at the end of the season when they beat us to the title. Liverpool also put the foot off the brake because the new city are not going to do anything like Liverpool. And it hurts me more, you know why? Because it hurts me more. It's as if they're laughing, they're sitting with beer somewhere laughing that you guys ain't gonna catch us. Because the time when they beat us the league, we were not catching them at all. They left us with a gap and they just
was that 20 points.
Do you remember you allowed us to beat you like 5-1 or something and you didn't care? You were just laughing the whole way. So yeah.
They said
Ibrahima Konate is not leaving Arsenal. Is not leaving Liverpool. It's just reported that Sacha Tavalier is saying that he's gonna go to Real Madrid probably next summer for free. We'll talk about that another time. Thank you everyone that watched us. Endz channel is in the description. True City fan, Rory Talks Football. All of them doing great work at the current moment. Dan channel as well. Great. I'm grateful to have you guys here. A very good conversation, respectful, amazing. Different opinion, but it's fine. Hit that like button, guys, before you go. And I want to thank everyone that contributed to the channel. Thank you so much. I will see you guys tomorrow, and we're out of here.